After the release of Yakuza 0, the director's cut, in December, and the massive backlash surrounding the game with its cut content and skipped out assets, everyone wondered if the new remake for the Yakuza game would step up or be a step forward for the franchise. After playing Yakuza 3 Kiwami and getting the platinum, I have finally gotten my thoughts together enough to write this review. I got into the Yakuza series and around the launch of Like a Dragon Gaiden, and fell in love immediately, and happened to binge the entire series just in time for the new entry. So I think of myself as somewhat of a Yakuza expert by the time this game had released. However, unfortunately, this game had a lot of issues leading up to release, along with its own level of controversies with the casting of several actors that had their own public problems, and the rumor of the massively cut story elements and the changing of important story events that people thought ruined the universally loved entry. However, I went into this game with my own level of excitement because I usually liked the remakes regardless of changes or casting problems that didn't really concern me. And for a short time at the beginning of the game, I absolutely had no issues. I was having a blast with the first 5 to 10 hours that I played, and expressed this excitement through the release of the demo and the full game. However, unfortunately, that excitement was short-lived. I will start with the good that the game provided when I actually did really enjoy the story. The little changes that they gave to the progress of the main story didn't really bother me as much for someone who didn't really play the original game. The contact was actually fairly enjoyable, with the two movesets that were very unique with different sets of moves. However, I felt like the weapons moveset wasn't nearly as defined as the regular Dojima style, and I just barely used it. However, this is pretty much where the enjoyment for this game for me ended. After a while, the game really started to become predictable, and it didn't hold up to the standard the other games had for me in terms of plot twists and just the overall continuity of the story. The combat was good, like I said earlier, however, it didn't warrant me enough to use both mindsets with using the movesets because it got harder using the weapons mode once characters got stronger and they could easily defuse a situation while using that moveset. So Dojima was just the best version no matter how it progressed, and I pretty much never stopped using the one moveset and never really used weapons other than when it forced me to. The side quests were pretty good, but way too short for my liking, and they did indeed remove a lot of content from the original game's side quests. The minigames, as always, were boring and annoying to play, and it made it even worse with me having to get the platinum. The Bad Boy Dragon minigame was cool at first, with the bikers and being able to recruit the women and having them train, and just the storyline was cool, but it got extremely grindy and tedious to do, especially on the harder difficulties when the platinum, and I legitimately wanted to throw my controller with how difficult the game became as you progressed. The blocking was also a major issue with the original game for me, which is why I never played it, and I gotta say, they really didn't improve much on that, and I legitimately got upset with how much the enemies just kept blocking me and would not allow me to do any of the cool combos that the game is known for. Also, I gotta admit, the Orphanage mini story was also one of the worst additions the franchise has ever given. It was cool at first getting to know the kids better, which wasn't part of the original, but the platinum being the specific area of grind was just awful. It was very time consuming. A lot of the things were you had to redo multiple things over and over and over again. And by the time I was done, I really didn't care about them kids no more. So it became way too grindy for me. And I feel like they should have just kept that one out. Now that leads me to the extra content story called Dark Tides, which follows the main villain, Mine, in his own little story prequel to the main story. And I will say it was actually more exciting to play than the main story was, but by the time you 100%ed the main story, you were just ready for the game to be over with, so you were skipping every single side quest and activity because you were just ready for the game to be over. So I wasn't even really paying attention to a lot of the things that it was telling me because I just didn't care and I was skipping everything. His abilities are cool, but he only had the one moveset, so it got repetitive and annoying after a while. And his minigame inclusion of the roguelike was horrendously bad. And with the platinum, you had to grind it multiple times to get what you needed done, and by that point I was just done with it. Overall, I think it was a decent game, but it was way less fun as the time went on, and going for the platinum pretty much ruined the experience by the end. It 100% has cemented itself as one of the worst Yakuza games I have ever played. I would give the game a solid 5 out of 10, which is very generous considering it's a Yakuza game, and I did have fun at the beginning, so I do give it a little higher than most people would. However, with the many issues it had with the combat, the mini games, the platinum journey, I couldn't give it any higher than that. If you like this review and you want to see more like it, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next game review.